Welcome to the Feast of the Holy Land. Behind me is the skyline of Amsterdam, and I'm standing here on my balcony. As most of you, I'm still stuck at home and restricted in movement and waiting to be vaccinated. 2021 started very bleak. But in the coming 30 minutes, we want to share hopeful news from the Holy Land. Did you know that despite of the pandemic, people are still celebrating their feast in the Holy Land? And we want to celebrate with them in the coming months these feasts. We want to introduce you to their religious services, the different holy sites, culinary traditions, and other culture customs around the Feast of the Holy Land. Today, the Orthodox Church celebrates St. Simeon's Day. The Latins celebrated it earlier in the month, and most of the Protestants have not heard about the importance of this saint. St. Simeon waited his whole life to encounter Jesus, and the Lord kept his promise. Let us remember that in these difficult days and times of isolation, God keeps his promises. Today we want to take you to the Holy Land and to show you how people remember these promises. In this live stream, we will be asking clergy to explain more about the spirituality of St. Simeon. We will visit the sites of St. Simeon's monastery in the Katamon area in Jerusalem. And we'll give you an update about all the exciting things ICoHS is doing this year. We also want to hear from you. Please make sure to drop us a line in the chat box so that we can respond later on in the live stream. But first, let's go and learn more about the importance of the Feast of the Holy Land. Let's celebrate St. Simeon's Day together. Good evening, Reverend Nabil Shahadi. Good to have you in our live stream. How are you?
Thank you, Anita. It's great to be with you and to share in this celebration.
Wonderful. And the music was really so touching, I felt. So it's good to have you here. And in this series, we'll be looking at how people actually celebrate the feast in the Holy Land. We know they have special prayers, there's a special liturgy, and there's culture traditions. But Nabil, what is the significance actually of feasts in the Holy Land?
Well, I think the beauty of feasts is that they are a way to tell God's story, to revisit the milestones of God's salvation history. And there are many aspects to retelling this story. There are liturgical celebrations, there are community celebrations, and of course, there is food. You can't have anything without food, especially in the Middle East. So the major feasts are known for their food. And it's a way to tell the story to the new generation. And of course, the background to that is the Old Testament feasts. And so it's a high theology of food with a theological storytelling and a community celebration and a liturgical celebration.
That is so wonderful, Reverend Shahadi. And remind me, how are these feasts expressed in the church calendar?
Well, that's a very beautiful way to bring together God's story and our story. The liturgical calendar in many of the churches reminds us along the year of the big milestones of God's salvation story. So instead of saying we're in January, we say we're in Epiphany. Instead of saying we're in February and March, we say we're in Lent, we're preparing for Easter, then we're in Pentecost or in Trinity. So it's a way to bring together the sacred and the secular, because in our faith, with the incarnation, there's no divide between heaven and earth anymore. So the calendar helps us to relive the story and to tell the story.
Thank you so much, Reverend Shahadi. This has been really insightful. And yes, today it's St. Simeon's Day. Thank you so much for your contribution.
And he's one of my heroes. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to Rana, hopefully. She has some problems with her connection because right now it is really a very bad weather in Bet Sahur. But in a little while, you'll be actually listening to an interview which was taken some days earlier between Bishop Jonathan Goodall of Ebbsfleet, one of our board members in London, who was speaking to Father Kasakos in Bet Sahur. And we'll go to that later, but first we'll try again to connect with Rana. Rana, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Anita.
Oh, hi. It worked. I hear it's really bad weather in Bet Sahur tonight.
Exactly. After 2 weeks of sun and really nice weather, another storm is hitting the region. So it started raining heavily and we are expecting snow. So we'll see.
Oh, wow. We just had snow. So I hope you have as much fun with the snow as we had here. Hey, but we were just remembering people celebrating. But how are people actually celebrating in this time of pandemic and the various lockdowns you had?
Last year was very hard because of the pandemic mainly, and things were not clear at all. So people were staying at home most of the time. It was hard to keep all the traditions and celebrations. And now the churches are open, so at least people can go to light a candle, to preserve some traditions of the church, of course, under very strict health measures and preventive measures because of the pandemic, but we still celebrate liturgies.
Yeah, wonderful. And I know that you've asked some people in your neighborhood how they are celebrating feasts in general and how they're preparing for Easter. And maybe we should just go and listen to them. Yes. So let's go and listen to some of these stories of the people you've been interviewing in the streets. Thank you, Rana. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Last year, Easter time was very hard, but we were able to do something special about it. We called all the neighbors, and we called the priest who came happily to the neighborhood, and we had mass out in the open. And so it was something special for us.
During these feasts and during this hard time and this pandemic, we will try to go to the church and light a candle and pray that this pandemic will end soon. Since it's really hard these times, we're gonna stay close with our families. We will not visit, but we will do our best to pray that to have much better days, and hopefully it will end soon.
صباح الخير من بيت لحم. عم بحكي هالكلمتين. كيف كان عيد الميلاد اللي احتفلنا فيه هاي السنة؟ أكيد غريب مثل كل العالم، ما كان في مجال أنه نجتمع ولا نروح نصلي على الكنيسة، ولكن لازم ندبر طريقة أن نضل علاقتنا مع الله بطريقة حلوة. فاللي عملناه عن طريق الجيران واتساب أو المعارف حتى أبعد من الجيران، كنا كل ليلة نتفق مع بعض حتى نصلي، حتى نضلنا نشعر في جو عيد الميلاد اللي هو صحيح عنا المهد ولكن قلبنا هي المغارة.
We are gonna go to the church and light candles, and then we will pray, and then we'll go home, color eggs, and then go to the garden and hide the eggs and do Easter hunting, and when we find the eggs, we will eat them.
Well, hello. It's so good to see you again, Father Katsakos. And thank you so much, Bishop Jonathan, for taking time to contribute to this Feasts of the Holy Land special on St. Simeon. How do we actually celebrate St. Simeon within the Anglican tradition?
First, thank you, Anita. But first, let me say good morning to Father Ignatios. It's wonderful to feel that we are united over the wires at such a great distance. Greetings also to the community.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Your Eminence. Nice to see you again.
In this little series, we're looking at the Christian celebrations of the Holy Land. But the one we're looking at today, of course, belongs to the whole church.
Mhm.
It celebrates the incident exactly 40 days after Christmas Day in the temple. In the West, we keep that on the 2nd of February, and in the East, you keep that on the 16th of February. But it's the same date and the same feast. Eastern Christians call it the meeting because of the encounter between Christ and his parents and Simeon and Anna. In the West, we call it Candlemas because of the candles that we carry in procession, like Mary and Joseph carrying the infant Jesus, the light to the Gentiles. I wonder whether you could tell us any special way in which you celebrate the feast in the Patriarchate.
In all the Patriarchate, first of all, thank you so much. It's a great happiness and honor for me. In general, in Holy Land, in all the monasteries and all the churches and all the Greek Orthodox communities, the celebration that day is with a holy liturgy, a mass, especially in the monastery in the area of Katamon in Jerusalem, which in this area it is believed that it was the house of Saint Simeon, and we have his tomb and part from his relics. So that date is special because all the Christians, they go to the monastery morning at 8, and then 8:30, 9 o'clock, the Patriarch comes with all the fathers and the bishops, and then it starts the ceremony, the prayer, the liturgy, that it lasts for about 2-3 hours.
And of course, the same is true for us in the West, but because you get to process to an actual place, we have to do it by a kind of, we have to imitate you in a way.
Yes, yes.
Now, in the Eastern churches, Simeon has a special story and a special name. He's known as Simeon the God Receiver. God had promised him that he would not die until Christ had come into the world. He lived, in other words, waiting to see God's anointed one. He is the epitome of hope, a hope that helps us to grow in patience. Can you say just a little bit about what the spiritual meaning is of Simeon as a person of hope?
God receiver in Greek language, this word is Theodochos, the one who waited to behold and blessed the divine child on the 40th day after his birth. So he was called the Theotokos, the God receiver, because he received the divine child inside the temple of God and held the Christ, the Son of God, in his arms. Some historians, they refer and they say that he waited for 280 years.
These numbers and this story underlines how great, how huge was his patience, and as you say, his obedience to what he had been told. Now, we're all experiencing the need for hope in what are very dangerous times for the world. And that includes the pandemic, but not only the pandemic. There are other reasons for us to need hope. I wonder whether you could tell us a little bit about where you think hope is coming from in the Holy Land today.
From the Holy Sepulchre, from the Holy Tomb of Jesus, from all these holy sites. I mean, for us, the only hope and strength with the difficulties that all of us we encountered a year now with the pandemic, and not only, it's only the Holy Sepulchre, it's the Holy Tomb of Jesus. Sometimes they close the borders because of the quarantine and we cannot go, but whenever they open and we do have a visa or a permit, all the people, all the fathers, we try to go to venerate the tomb of Christ. There is the only hope and the only power and strength that we get.
Father, I find that very encouraging because very often in the West, we look at the church in the Holy Land and we worry. And in some ways rightly, but we worry because you are beleaguered and you know your weakness. But of course, what you've just said turns the whole thing upside down. We can look to you as a place where we should be looking for hope. Yes. Precisely because you are living with and you are custodians of the evidence of the resurrection.
Yes, exactly.
And therefore I'm immensely grateful you put it that way, because you remember St. Paul says, in this hope we are saved.
Yes, yes.
Please be reassured of our love and longing, and that the day will come when we will be able to back up our prayers with our feet and join you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I definitely hope that one day in person we will all be able to go and see with our own eyes. But for now, we have to stay at home and stay safe. Earlier this week, I spoke with George Thuros in London, who actually lived for a long time in Jerusalem and knows the area of St. Simeon very well. And I asked him a couple of questions about the history of the monastery and the impact it has on the local community and the diaspora. So let's watch that bit of interview I had earlier with George. Hi, George. Good to see you.
Hi, Anita. Thanks for the invitation.
I know that you're living in London right now, but for many years you lived in Jerusalem and you studied the Christian communities in the Holy Land, and specifically the community of the Holy Sepulchre. We're doing this series on the Feast of the Holy Land, and I wanted to know how this Feast of St. Simeon is actually celebrated by the Christians in the Holy Land, and why this is so important.
Thank you, Anita. I think this is a great question. Local Palestinian Christians still celebrate Christian feasts, and one of them is the Feast of St. Simeon. It's not a major feast like Christmas in Bethlehem or Easter in Jerusalem. It's a less known feast, but people do attend the monastery in Katamon, which is based basically around the tomb of Saint Simeon. And tradition says that he used to live in that place. And Jesus used to go to that place on his own, by himself, to pray. And this by himself, it's the direct translation of katamon, katamonas, on his own or by himself.
This area right now is in West Jerusalem, and I could imagine having a Christian monastery in the middle of a Jewish community. That's quite special. How do people in the community react to the monastery upon the hill?
A lot of people that live in this area, they understand that there's a history to that place, and as in any place in Jerusalem, really. But there's a particularly Christian history with the monastery of Saint Simeon on top of the hill. So I guess people are curious, and myself, when I was there, I could see when the monastery was open, and especially around the feast, you could see the residents, they wouldn't interact, they wouldn't come in the monastery, but they would look into the monastery with curiosity. Now, this is a Christian place, and we are in the middle of a very Jewish area.
This is an area where the Katamon area is the area where the Palestinians used to live and worship at the St. Simeon's monastery. Now, many of these Palestinians have moved out of that area. And I just wanted to know, do you know anything about the Palestinians who moved from that area, where they went?
Yeah, so in the beginning of the century, due to overcrowding conditions in the old city, the Patriarchate encouraged people to go and relocate outside the old city. And the area of Katamon, the land, belonged to the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate, where they used to cultivate the land and produce wheat and fruits they would give to the clergy that lived in the Holy Land, but also to the visiting pilgrims. So a lot of people moved to Katamon and started building their houses during the British Mandate period. Beautiful houses that you can still see if you visit Katamon.
I heard that this area around the monastery of St. Simeon has a special kind of meaning for the people who now live in the diaspora. Can you tell me a bit about that?
People have left, and then a lot of them were not able to return. And those who returned, they were surprised to find people from another nation living in their houses. So it's a special place because it used to be a Palestinian place. People left, so the only place which is still active and reminds people of the past of this neighborhood is really the monastery of Saint Simeon.
This is really nice to kind of have the monastery as a link from the present to the past. That's really beautiful. Hey, thank you, George, so much. See you next time on one of our live streams.
Bye, take care.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Bob Roberts, and I am so excited about the Feast of the Holy Land. What an incredible opportunity to watch on your own personal computer device what's going on in the Holy Land. Food, art, music, all kinds of things. I want to encourage you, be a part of these 30-minute segments. They're going to be incredible.
Hello, my name is Zhen Zeng, and I'm a director of a nonprofit organization here in Shanghai, China. I support ICoHS in helping Christians in the Holy Land, and I invite you to join me in the celebration.
Hello everybody, this is Frank Heinrich. I'm a member of the German Bundestag, of the German Parliament. I'm greeting you from Berlin, and I really would support the idea and encourage you to celebrate with us the Christians living in the Holy Land with the ICoHS. So maybe we'll meet there.
It is so wonderful that we have so many people around the world supporting ICoHS, and I just want to be thanking them. We have a couple of more who we were unable to show in this program, but in our next live streams, you'll hear their testimonies. So we are really supported by these people all around the world. We're a very small team at ICoHS, and Georgia just joined our team. Hi, Georgia. How are you tonight?
Hi, Anita.
I hope you're fine.
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. I'm fine. Thank you. Could you tell a bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Say hello to everyone that is watching moment at the beginning of this month. I can't wait to see what this role brings my way. I'm
I think
London
Georgia
for the
has...
past years, really. Sorry, say again?
Sorry, Georgia, you were just breaking up. Could you just kind of repeat what you just said last?
Oh, I'm sorry. So I said that I come from Albania in Greece, and I have been living in London for the past 7 years nearly. I will be supporting ICoHS at their communications and event organizing, and hopefully I will be speaking to many of our viewers and many of the people that support ICoHS. I'm coming for 7 years nearly organizing and ICoHS, and I will be able to support.
Well, Georgia, it's wonderful to have you on the team. And I also wanted to share that we have a whole group of supporters in Latin and South America. And I just wanted to say, hola, nuestros amigos in América del Sur, bienvenidos. And they also gave some endorsements, which we'll be now watching.
Mi nombre es Andrei Karim Dueri Handal, presidente de la Juventud y la Comunidad Árabe de Bolivia, y apoyamos enteramente a la comunidad internacional del Santo Sepulcro y los invitamos a todos ustedes a participar con los árabes cristianos de Tierra Santa.
Mi nombre es Margot Tobar, soy vicepresidenta de la Corporación de Damas Palestinas de Chile y apoyamos a la comunidad internacional del Santo Sepulcro e invitamos a todo el mundo que lo haga y a celebrar con los cristianos las fiestas de Tierra Santa.
Mi nombre es Beatriz Vanegas, soy originaria de Fresnillo, Zacatecas, México, actualmente radicando en Las Vegas, Nevada, de Estados Unidos de Norteamérica. En este día quiero apoyar a la organización de la Comunidad Internacional del Santo Sepulcro y celebro el florecimiento del cristianismo en Tierra Santa.
Hi, Georgia. Here we're back again.
Yeah, we're back. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about before, connection is unstable sometimes. But Anita, can you please tell me in a bit more detail what we will be doing this year exactly as ICoHS?
Thank you, Georgia. We're going to do all sorts of exciting things. One of the things is we're going to conduct a research on the role of Christianity in the Holy Land. And we want to present that research in a summit in September. We're not too sure whether that's going to be a live event or a hybrid event where we're going to have a small group of people in London, and then we'll have other people joining in a live stream like we're doing today. And we've updated our website, and we hope soon also to have a website in different languages. And we're so grateful that people are supporting us through becoming a partner or through a founding member. And I would really like to encourage everybody to go to our website, www.icohs.org, and check out on how you can be part of this international community and help us to support our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land. Of course, Georgia, I hope that one day we together will be able to travel to the Holy Land and see it with our own eyes and meet the people we speak daily with.
Yes, absolutely. It would be an honor, first of all, and it would be a great experience. And hopefully very soon it will happen. It will come true.
Yes, in God's time it will happen. And I was just kind of wondering whether we could go now to our video where people who don't know much about ICoHS can have an update on what we're doing in general. Let's go and watch the video together.
Let's go.
The international community of the Holy Sepulchre was established to help secure a brighter future for Christians in the Holy Land. We are the only organisation commissioned to do so, with the blessing and support of the Council of Patriarchs and Heads of Churches in Jerusalem. ICoHS itself is an expression of Christian unity in action in the Holy Land. Since 2018, ICoHS has advocated on behalf of Holy Land churches and Christians, ensuring that their voices are heard in important political centres around the world. When the municipal government of Jerusalem unfairly and unjustly tried to charge the churches back taxes going back decades, ICoHS went to work. Having coordinated a congressional letter that arrived on the Israeli Prime Minister's desk, the matter was resolved and the bill withdrawn. More recently, radical groups have been trying to seize property in the Christian quarter of Jerusalem. Church leaders have united against this, and we have echoed and amplified their opposition in Washington and London. ICoHS also works with universities, NGOs, regional church leaders, and other advocacy organisations. ICoHS exists to help enable churches to flourish in the birthplace of the Christian faith. Where for many Jerusalem is a city built from ancient stones, ICoHS exists to support the living stones of the region, the Christian men, women and children who live throughout that Holy Land.
And if we don't do that for the living stones in the Middle East, then we will have doubly failed them.
We hope you'll join our international community of the Holy Sepulchre and help ICoHS to help others flourish and thrive.
Hi, hello everyone. We're trying to get Bassem. There he is. The weather is really bad, isn't it, Bassem, in Jerusalem? Snow is coming right here.
We hope so, because so many years we didn't see snow. We are expecting this maybe with some areas starting from the north in the early morning, tomorrow morning, and maybe tomorrow late or even on Thursday we'll have some ice. Of course, all in God's will, we'll have some ice, some snow on Jerusalem.
I'm sure it's going to be very beautiful. Hey, Bassem, yesterday you were at the monastery of St. Simeon, because today it was very difficult to get there due to the bad weather. But yesterday the sun was still shining and you actually went to the monastery and it was very quiet. And no pilgrims, isn't it?
No. You know, I wanted to take a chance to go there. So I did it yesterday. I'll tell you why, because according to the regulations of due to the COVID, the pandemic, churches and sites for visitors are closed, even for locals, So even the government, or Ministry of Health, applied the rule that people can have prayers or so inside for maximum 5 people, okay, and it could be outside for 10 people. So the monastery and other sites are closed actually for visitors. So I took chance of this occasion that the Patriarchate held the Vespers of this occasion. So I went there and made some shootings.
Well, thank you so much. This morning we also got some pictures
from
the liturgy and the celebration, and that was special. But we know in times like that, many of these feasts we need to do virtual. But Bassem, you have a tour operating company, BP's Tours. Tell me, how is it without any of the pilgrims coming to the Holy Land?
You know very well that Holy Land itself it's the main aim of every pilgrimage, you know, because they want to come to visit the Holy Land, to visit the sites, you know, to walk on the footsteps of Jesus, you know, the Via Dolorosa up to the Holy Sepulchre. So every pilgrim, every Christian, his aim is to do this. Actually, because of the pandemic, you know, and everywhere in the world, from March, we have no more tourists. We have no more pilgrims, you know, because of diseases, cases, and so on. So, actually, in Israel, they are accelerating with the issue of vaccination because they want, in a way, to open borders. They want to open the skies because the country also majorly live from tourism. So they want to do it. Even income tourism, it's impossible. Now there are maybe regulation will try to facilitate it. The Ministry of Health will try to facilitate this, to have some internal, you know, people can go, so on. So the aim of vaccination is to tell people that we want to end this issue. So I hope and I pray to God that this issue of vaccination will terminate the pandemic and we can have back open skies, open borders. Because people are eager to come. They want to visit the Holy Land. They want to visit the religious sites, also archaeological sites, you know, because we have so many places that people can visit. We pray to God that this issue will end soon.
Yes, definitely. Inshallah. Let's hope it really happens soon, because I know our ICoHS supporters are really keen on going on a pilgrimage, visiting, and for you to be showing us around to these sites. But for now, we need to stay at home. But thank you so much on this wintry day in Jerusalem.
But I wanted to add a small thing. You know, we know that the pilgrims coming to the Holy Land, you know, they are supporting the local Christians that are living here. Because what do we need churches without the believers? How can we have to support the believers, the locals of the land, and could be only done by the pilgrims coming and supporting the locals of the land.
Besem, we're missing you, but we hope that soon we can meet.
I hope. I think soon it will be over. I think soon it will be over.
Thanks,
Anita.
See
Thanks,
you soon, Besem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that was beautiful. What did you think of that, Georgia?
Well, it was actually very touching, and it makes you take a step back and think to yourself about everything, and take a minute to like compose everything in your mind. It's actually very peaceful, I think.
Oh, I think too, it's so nice to kind of listen and sit back. Hey, Owen, also welcome. Hi,
Hi,
how are
Anita.
you?
And hello to all our viewers. Great to join you this evening.
Wonderful. Hey, Owen, do you have any questions in our chat box?
Yeah, so a couple of questions came in, and the first one was regarding ICoHS's work with the churches in the Holy Land. So it asked, does ICoHS work with one Christian denomination in particular? So I can answer that myself, and the answer is no. We make a very specific effort to work with all Christian denominations, whether they're Orthodox, Latin, or Protestant. So all ICoHS funding is spent equally between these three main bodies. And we also make a provision for non-Christian elements as well, just to show our impartiality in the area. So a second question that came in, Anita, you might be able to answer this, is what ways has ICoHS responded in the Holy Land specifically to the coronavirus?
Yes, that's a good question, because we, after the Bethlehem Star, collected some money, and our volunteers in the Bethlehem area divided this money as for several schools. They gave it as tuition fee for children whose parents cannot really pay the school fees anymore. So to several different schools in the Bethlehem, Bejala, and Bet Sahur area, these tuitions were given for the students who couldn't pay. And then secondly, we gave some medical equipment and medical assistance to various groups of people from different churches, as well as food aid. Many people find it really difficult to get nutritious food during a pandemic, and that's really important. So our volunteers are distributing that, and they represent all churches in the area.
That's great, thank you. And another question that came in was, when should we expect the next Feast of the Holy Land program to be aired by ICoHS?
Yes, Easter is coming up, and in Holy Week, in Catholic or Protestant Holy Week, which is a month earlier than the Orthodox Holy Week, we will be making 9 podcasts available with reflections of Bishop Graham Tomlin, the Bishop of Kensington, and we'll be asking people in the Holy Land for special prayers and an update from the different areas in the Holy Land, how things are now during the pandemic. So that will be our Easter special. There will be 9 5-minute podcasts, which you will be able to find on our website. And maybe it will be also broadcast live. So it would be really wonderful if people can contribute to that.
That's wonderful. And how can our supporters keep in touch with ICoHS's progress over the coming months?
Definitely go to our website, www.icohs.org, and sign up for our newsletter. Every month we have a newsletter with updates. So please kind of give your name to us so that we can include you in our mailing list. and keep you informed. And of course, I hope that we'll be able to take some groups into the Holy Land as soon as we can travel.
Super.
Yes, well, thank you. Were there any other questions coming up?
No, that was it. So the next part of our program is about the journey of Lent. So for me as a Catholic, Lent is all about journeying with Jesus through the desert. So I've asked a couple of my Catholic friends to give an account of what it means to them and what they expect to get out of it this year.
So let's watch that together.
Great.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm a Catholic student at Oxford. And for me, Lent is a time to recenter my life on Christ, to appreciate anew his passion, death and resurrection. And to do that, this year, I'm going to pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet every day.
Hello, I'm Sibyl, a young architect living in London who's also a Catholic. This Lent, I've decided to stop spending so much time on my phone and on Facebook and instead dedicate that time to studying the Bible and reading more.
Hi, I'm Barnaby. I'm a Catholic student in London, and this Lent I am going to give up thinking or saying anything negative, and instead I'm going to take up a daily practice of gratitude.
Hello, my name is Eileen and I live and work in the Washington, D.C. area. Lent to me is a time when we can refocus our lives back on the Lord. And one way to do that is to give up things from our lives, not even because they're inherently bad, but more so to make room and to make time in our day-to-day lives to let God in and to let him work. And for me, that's going to be made possible through not always filling my eyes and my ears with social media or with media in general or with music and podcasts, but allowing silence and stillness to be there so that God can work through that.
Hi, I'm Helene. I'm a French Catholic and I live in London. This year for Lent, I will be giving up Netflix series and also starting a new daily prayer to St. Joseph, as Pope Francis has named this his year.
Well, Owen, you have wonderful friends. And what are you giving up for Lent?
So this year I'm limiting myself to no social media and to only half an hour of screen time on my phone every day. And I'm also taking up a daily holy hour. So whether that's private prayer or going to mass or Stations of the Cross or whatever, I'm going to dedicate that every day for the 40 days of Lent.
Thank you so much for sharing, Owen. That's so kind of encouraging, and also hearing your friends, which we hope to follow through blogs and keeping you all informed about how they're going about the promises they're making. But for now, our live stream is coming to an end, and I just want to thank everybody who participated from all around the world, from Asia to Africa and Latin America and Europe. Thank you so much for being part of our community, our international community of the Holy Sepulchre. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye, Owen.
Bye-bye. See you again soon.
Bye, Georgia.
Bye. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Bye. Bye. Bye, everyone.